XValClover will have us believe that Asta is a magicless child that lived in a world where magic is everything. Though he has no mana or magic, he would one day attain anti-magic that would allow him to become a magic knight. It's been stated that anti-magic is not magic many times in the series. This is part of the reason why people look down on him despite his strength. But this is where the focus of the video is revealed. Anti-magic is XValClover's biggest lie. The reason for that, anti-magic is actually magic.
Broku, what the hell are you talking about? Anti-magic is not magic. That's the whole point of the show.
All that I ask is you please be patient and let me present the evidence. This is something that I thought was silly as well, at first. I was only expecting to just post a fun crackpot theory as a YouTube short or a TikTok. But then I delved deeper into this rabbit hole and discovered a theory with enough evidence to give it an entire video project. Before continuing, I'll just remind you that many people called me an idiot when I said Julius was connected to the 4th Sagratis, that Asta would fight the Devil Wizard King, that Yami would become a devil, and now he has a devil heart, etc. So please, just trust me on this one and give the evidence a chance. The title of this video is bound to ruffle some feathers. Probably many feathers. The reason is because the phrase, anti-magic is magic, is a common phrase used by XValClover haters in their attempts to slander the series. I want to put out there immediately that this is not my intent at all. This theory isn't meant to undermine anything involved with my favorite manga of all time, as I'm not going to be a XValClover hater and argue that according to our real-world definition of magic, anti-magic is magic. But that doesn't fit the world of XValClover. In XValClover, magic is spells that are powered by mana, as ki would technically be magic in our world as well, but it is not magic in the XValClover world. But there are actually various damning pieces of evidence that imply that anti-magic is actually magic, and there are actually a couple of times where anti-magic has just straight up been referred to as magic. Besides statements, there is a lot of evidence that points to the possibility that anti-magic is magic all along. I will go over all of the evidence in the video. I will even debunk the notion that this would narratively ruin the series or Asta as a character, as even if anti-magic is magic, it's Libas, so Asta would still himself be a magicless peasant. Please don't hate me, friends. Remember, it's just a theory, but so was Julius Sagratis and Asta using ki to enhance his anti-magic power, and both those happened. Anyways, let's get into it. So first off, I'd like to start with discussing one of the statements that would likely be commented down by people if I didn't mention it. People will disagree with this theory by stating that mana or magic can be sensed by mana users. Anti-magic cannot be sensed by magic users. While I agree this is one of the pillars of evidence that stands against my theory, surrounded by other small pillars of the statement which state anti-magic is different from magic. But if I can provide a cogent explanation for anti-magic to fit around this, then I can easier convince you of the theory. While anti-magic cannot be sensed by others, but there are other magic types that cannot be sensed either. Gildre's permeation magic makes him impossible to be sensed by mana users. Only ki users can root him out. Even other magic users like Kirsch can use magic to scramble the sensory abilities of mages, and if anti-magic works to negate magic, then it could be possible, if not probable, that it would negate or scramble the sensory abilities of any mage trying to sense it, making Asta and anti-magic impossible to be sensed by a mage. So if people cannot sense anti-magic purely because of it negating their mana sensory abilities, then this actually does not debunk the theory at all. But with that out of the way, I want to now bring up the many different times that anti-magic has been referred to as magic. Now I understand that people have said that anti-magic isn't magic as well, but that's because they've never encountered a power quite like it. They're simply presuming that it isn't magic. One of the major times that anti-magic was called magic was by Julius, which will lead to a whole other point in the video later on. Asta, that black power of yours is the work of a devil. Black horns are proof that humans had ventured into the realm of forbidden magic and had dealings with the world beyond this one. They're a curse known as Weg. So Julius is calling Weg forbidden magic and directly stating that this is what Asta has, which means Julius is stating that Asta is wielding forbidden magic. Now, what is forbidden magic? Forbidden magic is spells that are derived from the underworld and comprised of negative mana, otherwise known as malicious mana. We know this because it was stated that the magic stones are used to enact forbidden magic by drawing in the power of the underworld. When Lick uses a magic stone, he says he's pulled in negative mana into his body. When Zagrid uses magic from the underworld, which is forbidden magic, people can sense it like it's magic. As well as many other times with forbidden magic, people can sense that it is magic. So sure, forbidden magic is a different classification of magic, but it's still magic as it's powered by mana. Now I understand that people are going to take issue with this, but it's even more interesting when you bring up the whole idea of what an arcane stage mage is. It's often I see some members of the fandom see arcane stage simply that it means that you can kill a devil. But when you look further into the concept of it, it makes you think even more that anti-magic could be magic. We're first introduced to the concept of arcane stage when Asta meets Lolopechka and the Undine Water Spirit in the Heart Kingdom. We're introduced to the stage system first, and told that not even stage zeros can kill a devil. This is when Lolopechka delves into arcane stage. Some people were born with the irregular ability to kill devils. The Wizard King, Julius Novachrono, and his time magic for example, or Yami Sukehiro, the captain of the Black Bulls, and his dark magic. And in terms of combat power alone, Nero is only stage 6 or so, but she has ancient sealing magic and has used forbidden magic. Asta has no magic, but as a result, he managed to acquire anti-magic. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Did you guys catch that? Lolopechka doesn't only reveal that Asta and Sekira can kill devils, but why and how they can do it. For Sekira, it's because she used forbidden magic. For Asta, it's because he didn't have magic, but that allowed him to acquire anti-magic. But if you do any more digging into that statement, what is anti-magic? It's devil power. What is devil power? Forbidden magic. The same thing that Julius called it. Asta and Sekira are arcane because they are using forbidden magic. This is backed up by the fact that other characters that are arcane because they are using forbidden magic. Julius is arcane because his time magic is actually from the time devil Astaroth. Yami's dark magic is arcane because he comes from a line of people called Kijin, which means demon god in Japanese, and they all use dark magic, likely derived from the devil of darkness, Lucifugus. Even William would then be arcane because he's also affected by forbidden magic. Remember, William's cursed, so the majority of people that we know that are arcane is because they are using or affected by forbidden magic. And what is forbidden magic again? It's spells powered by negative mana. And what empowers negative mana, you ask? Negative emotions. Now, please remind me how anti-magic was created. Literally a devil, trapped to his lonesome in an empty space after just watching his mother slain, cursing devils in a fiery rage. Negative emotions galore. This, supported by the scene of the fall of Patri into a dark elf. The final state of an elf brimming with malice. A dark elf. Due to Patri's malice, he transformed into a dark elf. The dark elf powers granted him magic from the underworld, allowing him to negate Zagred's forbidden magic. Right before the transformation, we see Asta thinking back to Elf Luck when he was brimming with malice and seeming to transform into something else. This essentially affirms that negative mana and forbidden magic by proxy is amplified by negative emotions. So that claim that Asta's anti-magic is forbidden magic is heavily supported by the fact that it was forged from malice and gets augmented from malice as well. Again, devils use forbidden magic. Forbidden magic is powered by negative mana. It is stated that Liba's power is forbidden magic. It was created by negative emotions and gets stronger with negative emotions, which is a trait of negative mana. But I get it. This may not be enough for some of you, or even most of you, and hell, if I were in your position, I would probably say the same thing. But this is really on the tip of the iceberg. First, I did say that there are multiple statements of people calling it magic. I'll mention one more of those statements, but I don't want to cover every single one because I don't think they're the most convincing pieces of evidence anyways. As you could say that those people are just ignorant to what anti-magic is, but Lucifero, who was watching Dante fight Asta, calls anti-magic magic. Again, this isn't a foundational portion of my theory, but this is now two people with high authority, the Wizard King and the Devil King, both calling it magic. Anyways, onto the pieces of evidence that will blow your mind. We actually know that anti-magic and mana are both energies that work similar to each other. This is stated by Gaja in the middle of his training with Asta. While he says that mana and anti-magic are fundamentally different, he essentially says that they are both power, and similar principles apply to both of them. Asta is able to surpass his limits in this training by treating his anti-magic no different from magic in the form of its control. I get that Gaja does say that they are different, but wouldn't he just be assuming that because the anti-magic cannot be sensed through conventional means, that makes it not mana or magic? But if anti-magic is called forbidden magic and acts similar to mana itself, then it only strengthens the theory that it is secretly magic and mana. We actually get a good look of how anti-magic energy works in its current state, when it's directly channeled into Asta instead of being dribbled into him. When Asta first begins to learn Zetten, we get to see the anti-magic energy inside of him. What does mana look like in this representation? We see it in Ichika. What does mana look like? What does anti-magic look like? It looks like black mana. What else looks like black mana? Forbidden magic. We see this when Patri was turned into a dark elf. His floating mana turns to black. This is because he was affected by forbidden magic, and his poor mental state exploded his negative mana. But that is not the only thing. Asta's anti-magic energy also looks like Yami's dark magic, which has been affected by forbidden magic and negative mana. But Zeton acts as another huge piece of evidence that nearly outright proves that anti-magic is magic. Zeton is essentially using Ki to provide an explosive boost in power. Ki is the flow of life energy. Everybody manipulates it unconsciously, turning it into Yoryoku. Remember that Yoryoku is magic power, or how much mana one has inside themselves. This means that life energy is converted to create or increase magic power. Somehow, Asta can use Ki in the same vein for his anti-magic. He can convert his life energy into anti-magic energy. At this point, either anti-magic is magic, or they are so fundamentally related that there is no true tangible difference between the two power systems.
They're the same picture.
Furthermore, we know that demon runes are used to create forbidden magic. We see them used by Veto when he uses demon power. We see them used by Zigred when he did the reincarnation spell and it was verbatim stated to be a forbidden magic spell. And we saw this with Demon Licht when he used forbidden magic at one of the highest orders to turn himself into a demon. Demon runes are inherently tied to forbidden magic as they are used to activate devil binding rituals as well. We see demon runes lining the floor of Nixk's dark garden in the form of an array. When Asta and Liba's contract is formed, demon runes wrap around their wrists. So this means that even when Liba is part of contracts, forbidden magic is involved. But the damning reason I bring up demon runes is that they are actually featured within Asta's grimoire, especially when he summons the swords. There is demon language tied to them, further implying that anti-magic is forbidden magic. Asta merely having a grimoire supports this theory by a considerable margin. Did you know that grimoires are not physical items? They are books made of mana. Spells, essentially. This is stated by Tabata in the Black Clover data book. A 5-leaf clover grimoire is known as the Grimoire of Despair. Within the 5th leaf resides the devil. 5-leaf clover grimoires are formed when the wielder of a 4-leaf clover grimoire falls into deep despair. This allows a devil to attain their true form and unleash their full power. When Zagrid attains a 5th leaf, he can immediately summon more powerful forbidden magic spells. Despair is tied to negative mana. When Veto fell into despair, his negative mana increased and formed a third eye of forbidden magic. When he fell into a deeper despair, his power swelled into a self-destruct state. When Patri despaired, his negative mana swelled and turned him into a dark elf. What this should tell you is that the 5-leaf clover grimoire would then be a grimoire of negative mana, rather than the conventional source. This would explain why anti-magic works with this grimoire perfectly. But this leads to another interesting point. 5-leaf clover grimoires are likely made of negative mana, and are meant for devils to attain their true form and true power. Keep in mind that Liba was powerless until he was stored in the grimoire by Lasita. Funny how a devil gets sealed inside of a grimoire. That grimoire meant for it to attain its true form and power, and then it develops its power. This only further supports that anti-magic is just negative mana. Liba was inside a grimoire of negative mana, and held negative emotions which manifested that power. Keep in mind that while Lucius Agratus was fighting Asta, he says, spells that manipulate time are invincible. Nothing in the natural world can defy time. However, anti-magic can be the natural enemy of that invincible magic. If we reiterate that, Lucius is basically saying that any magic derived of the natural world, i.e. the living world of Black Clover, is nothing compared to his time magic. But he says that anti-magic is the natural enemy of time magic, which means that anti-magic is not from the natural world, therefore it's from the underworld, and is actually forbidden magic, since that's what forbidden magic actually is. So today's video is sponsored by me and you, and that is the members of this channel. If you want to become a member of the channel, you get access to a bunch of cool different emotes and other rewards, but I want to tell you guys that the biggest thing I am doing now is that for all members, you'll be getting a exclusive member video every single week. If you become a Brigade Captain member, you'll get an extra video per month on top of those one video every single week. And all Wizard King level members will be getting 2 exclusive member videos per week. That is 8 to 9 videos per month at $15 a month, which is less than $2 a video. And that is also on top of other rewards, like you'll be getting access to the Wizard King Roundtable, which is a discussion I'll have with all of you guys every single month. So if you guys really want to help support the channel and you also want extra videos on the side besides my video projects I'm currently doing, then please become a member. You will get a lot of extra videos as well as helping support the channel. This week's member videos will be for all members. They'll be getting Black Clover's biggest myth, and Wizard King members will be getting an additional video as always, and that video will be Devil Xenon versus Magicula. Besides all of this, it's important to take into account how many magic-like abilities the Anti-Magic fields. Anti-Magic literally creates horns around Asta as it flows into him. Now people will say that, of course, Asta shows horns, it's because he's fusing with Liebe. Guys, that's only Devil Union. When Asta uses the horns prior, like even just in the original Black forms, like Black Form 1, Black Form 2, even the Berserk form, all Asta is doing is taking an anti-magic power from the sword and putting it into himself. And it's actually just dribbled anti-magic power. Liebe puts anti-magic into the sword from the grimoire, goes into Asta's arm. This is not fusionism, this is just taking in the power, and it works just like Forbidden Magic. Like how the Dark Disciples, what they are doing is they're just taking power from the Dark Triad, devil power from them, and then it gives them horns and wings. So this means that that's how similar anti-magic is to Forbidden Magic, which makes me think that it really is just Forbidden Magic, and that it's just negative mana that cannot be sensed. It gives him the ability to fly, and Liebe even uses his anti-magic powers to make the swords levitate, and use a form of telekinesis to use the swords in combat with Asta. This is something that people often miss, but anti-magic can quite literally reconstruct the swords themselves. When Asta goes into Devil Union, he seemingly places one of the anti-magic orbs inside of his Demon Destroyer sword. Look at the regular hilt of the Demon Destroyer sword. A black ring forms at the center of the crossguard, which means that anti-magic actually changes the physical structure of objects, which is another seemingly magical ability. We see the process repeated with the Demon Slayer and Dweller swords as well, as when he puts the orbs inside of the Slayer sword, it grows massively, and even the hilt and the crossguard become considerably larger than before. Anti-magic also forms around the Demon Dweller sword, coating it in black energy, and lining the grip with sharp horns. There are more magical abilities that anti-magic has, but they are paired in tandem with the sword, so this means it's possible the abilities aren't inherent to anti-magic, but are tied to the sword, but still, the fact that anti-magic can run through these swords and work with them perfectly, as if it were regular mana, is another piece of evidence that anti-magic is magic. But Asta actually uses the Demon Destroyer to absorb the memories of Patri, and the anti-magic energy forms a cloud around them, and then Asta surfs through these memories until he meets Patri's young soul next to William's sleeping soul. While sure this started off as the sword's ability, but Asta is literally surrounded by anti-magic, and it is the anti-magic powering the spell and guiding Asta through Patri's memories and arriving at his soul. This kind of leads into what I've been saying, that the true nature of anti-magic really is magic. In my Limits of Anti-Magic video, I proved that anti-magic isn't as strong as you think it is. It doesn't destroy any magic no matter how strong it is. It's been blatantly overpowered by magic many times before. It's been defenseless against magic numerous times. In that video, I pretty much just came to the conclusion that anti-magic is just an elemental advantage over every single magic type that exists in Black Clover. Please watch that video after this one if you have not yet, because it actually only further supports this theory, that anti-magic is just forbidden magic. While many people believe that if Asta's anti-magic is really just magic, it will ruin the series, but I actually think it improves the theme of Black Clover. It isn't my complaint that people think that Asta isn't a true underdog because he's given the most broken ability in the entire universe, anti-magic. Well, this is technically an incorrect critique, because anti-magic is actually severely limiting, and it's entirely possible, if not probable, that if Asta had magic, he'd be even more powerful than he is right now. This is hinted by the fact that Vanessa said that it was Asta's determination and willpower that led to the God of Fate leaving Asta magicless. Well, in this theory, Asta isn't given the most broken power in the verse. Anti-magic was a merit-based power, and he used forbidden magic through Liebe. It was pretty weak at first, and even slowed him down, as he was slow with the Demon Slayer sword and needed the Dweller sword to be able to fight fast. But look at Asta now. If Asta was using magic all along, it could tie into the whole classism and elitism theme of the story, as Asta was literally using a magic power the entire time, but was overlooked by everyone merely because they couldn't sense the power, despite the feats that they bore witness to. And no, this doesn't ruin Asta's story or the story of Black Clover. Asta's still magicless, the power he uses is Liebe's. In a society where magic is everything, Asta was born without it, but he earned a magic power because of his hard work, and despite not being recognized by society, he fostered that power into something that could literally kill the king of devils. And let's not forget that Yuno's whole mystique came crashing down over a year ago. Like, one of Yuno's biggest draws as a character was that despite being a peasant, he had really strong magic. But then it was revealed that in reality, Yuno was a prince of the Spade Kingdom. Sure, some people didn't like this, but I know that the large majority of people actually enjoyed this reveal, partially because it did make a lot of sense, and I think it's the same here. Are you really going to say that Black Clover sucks because Asta had magic all along? I mean, it's not even true because it's Liba's power, but I dare say that anti-magic just doesn't feel that important to the plot anymore. Like, sure, it's important to the story. It's not the heart and soul of the story like it used to be. Maybe in the beginning of Black Clover, but not now. Anti-magic is referred to as magic by two kings. Specifically, the Wizard King calls it forbidden magic because it produces Weg on Asta. Forbidden magic is the spells that originate in the underworld, which are powered by negative or malicious mana. Negative mana is empowered by negative emotions. Liba, a devil from the underworld, unlocks his power by the overabundance of negative emotions and increases the power of his anti-magic with those emotions throughout the series. Anti-magic energy looks like if mana were darkened and looks just like the forbidden magic of Dark Elf Pottery and Yami. It works similarly to mana as stated by Gacha and can work through magic items like the demon swords just as easily as mana does. Even life gets converted into anti-magic via Zeton, just how it does with mana and magic power. These spells of anti-magic are displayed via demon runes, the same type of demon runes that produce forbidden magic that are again powered by negative mana. Because people can sense negative mana in the forbidden magic, that would mean that because Asta uses forbidden magic, he is using negative mana that cannot be sensed by other people. Anti-magic grants Asta the title of Arcane, which is granted to a people who have been affected by forbidden magic or negative mana. Not only does anti-magic grant Asta the power to destroy magic, but it gives him other magic-like abilities like flight, devil physiology, soul manipulation, and the complete structural altering of physical objects. If it looks like a duck, if it is called a duck, and quacks like a duck, and if you do a DNA test and the results are duck, then is it a duck? Because that's pretty much what anti-magic is. So yeah, that is my theory, that anti-magic is magic. It's forbidden magic, powered by negative mana, that it just cannot be sensed. And I do think that it would just enhance the actual series. Now, I think that a possible counter to this theory could be that there's just a completely different type of energy or a new form of magic. That would be what anti-magic is. Maybe it's not mana. Maybe it's just a different form of energy. That's possible, but it kind of works too similar to mana for it to be different. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts of this theory down below. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and join my Discord. And please support the channel by becoming a member and getting access to extra videos every week. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Peace out.